Hey guys, it's Simon. This is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 23rd of December 2020 to talk about everything that went down tonight on both AEW Dynamite and NXT on the USA Network. Now, I know I'm late. I know the show's technically ended like 45 minutes ago. Dynamite, that is. I do apologize. I had some stuff come up with the kids, and that's why we're running a little late. Just this. All right, we're good there. Sorry, kind of like jumped right into it without setting anything beforehand, even though it's all kind of preset. But I want to say thank you, everybody, joining us here right now. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Remember, if you're here on Twitch, you can support us a couple of different ways. You can either support us with a donation by hitting that button down below with Twitch bits, or with the subscription, one of two different ways. Either you can give us one of those tiered subscriptions, or if you have Amazon Prime, you have Prime Gaming. And with Prime Gaming, you get one free subscription to anybody that you want to subscribe to on Twitch, not just us. Hey, not only with your Amazon subscription, your Amazon Prime subscription, can you watch Coming to America this March, the sequel to the amazing Eddie Murphy movie. You can also subscribe to us absolutely free. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're over there on YouTube, you can support us with a super chat donation. That would be very appreciated, and all super chat donations do get read on screen. Kyle Kick Power Buzz TKO. Yes, I'm a father of two. Son that is 9.5, and a daughter that is almost 8. So yeah, got 2 kids. But with that, we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite Holiday Bash. We're here to talk about NXT. So let's kick it off with AEW Dynamite. Also, if you are here on Twitch, hit that poll up there at the top of the chat and let us know what you thought of tonight's Dynamite, and be part of the show by texting in to 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341. It will be scrolling across the screen periodically like it is right there right now. Let's jump in and talk about AEW Dynamite. So AEW kicked off the night with Chris Jericho and MJF against Top Flight. Now, I'm going to say it right now. Thought the show was about good. I didn't think the show was all that great or anything. I didn't think there was anything particularly special on tonight's Dynamite. So, and I thought the same thing with NXT. I thought they were both just okay to good by the numbers shows. So I thought this match was a pretty good opener. Top Flight. This is, I think, their second, correct me if I'm wrong, Dynamite match. Could be third. I'm not 100% sure on that one. But Jericho taunted Darius early with a slap. So Darius fired back with strikes. Jericho overpowered Darius with some strikes of his own before he downed him with an enziguri. Dante tagged in his Top Flight, used some double team moves. Jericho scouted a drop down and tagged in MJF to take the advantage. A drop kick from Dante sent MJF to the floor. All 4 men entered the ring as the older of the Top Flight brothers, I guess you would call them, faced off with Jericho. Top Flight would then simultaneously hit a series of 10 corner strikes, followed by stereo drop kicks. On the floor, MJF baited Dante into a right hand from Jericho as the Inner Circle regained control. Inner Circle utilized frequent tags to isolate Dante on their side of the ring. MJF drew Darius into the ring at one point and choked Dante with the referee distracted. Jericho tried to give her a pinfall with his feet on the ropes, but Dante kicked at it too. At one point, Darius ran wild on MJF, hitting a Spanish fly before nailing Jericho with a tope suicida. He followed it up with a missile drop kick on MJF and got a 2 off of it. He then vaulted off Jericho into a tornado DDT for another 2 count. An O'Connor roll followed this up with a bridge that nearly got Top Flight the win. But, well, Dante was caught. The powerbomb by MJF. Jericho would tag in and landed a lion salt for a 2. He tried for the Lion Tamer, but Dante turned it into a cradle for a near fall, and fucking JR goes, "Oh my god, I've never seen that before. Has anybody ever turned the Lion Tamer or the yeah, has anyone ever turned the lion tamer into a pinning predicament? I'm like, what? What? Has anyone ever reversed the lion tamer or the walls of Jericho into a pin? Yeah, plenty of times, JR. Anyways. Where was I? Jericho popped up and leveled Darius at one point with a clothesline. As they resumed their beatdown, Darius countered a double backdrop into DDTs as Dante dispatched Jericho. Darius went for a springboard, but Hager pulled him down. MJF then hit the Heat Seeker. Sorry about that. My Alexa's about to go off for some reason. And, nope. There we go. MJF hit the Heat Seeker and got the pin and the victory. So after the match, Hager took the mic. And this was a very interesting and awkward kind of deal. He goes, a couple weeks ago, we all agreed to do right by the inner circle. But who's not here? Wardlow's not here. Why? Because family business. Well, this is his new family. And this family takes precedent. He says he understands that Wardlow is an asset, but he's also an asshole. He said, next week I already talked to Tony Khan, and I will be taking on Wardlow. So next week on Dynamite, Hager versus Wardlow. That should be interesting. Big guys going one-on-one. Be very interesting. Next up, they played a music video from The Acclaimed, where they rapped about the Young Bucks. This was much better than, Caster's live rapping later in the night. And if you guys haven't heard it yet, the Young Bucks call them the John Cena Boys because of their rapper gimmick. Really? Oh, whatever. So Tony Schiavone did one of his many interviews tonight. Tony earned that paycheck. He didn't just sit at commentary. He ran all over this place tonight. So Schiavone asked how Sting was feeling. He said he's happy to be back in the jungle. I don't get why he keeps calling AEW the jungle. It's stupid. But Tony then asked why Sting was even here and pointed out Darby Allin in the upper deck. Sting said that he couldn't answer that in just a few words. He went back in time and reminisced about a meeting with Dusty Rhodes, where Rhodes helped get Sting's career started. Sting saw Cody, Dustin's son, and decided he wants to be part of AEW. Sting would then go on to address Darby Allin, but Taz would interrupt. Team Taz would cut a promo. Taz said that everyone knows that Sting only cares about himself. Ricky Starks said, Sting may care about himself, may not want to be in, what's the word? I didn't write this properly, I don't think. Ricky Starks said that they don't care about Sting. Sting only cares about himself, but he's tired of Sting sticking his nose in their business. They said that if Sting keeps talking about their quote-unquote jungle, he might get hurt. Team Taz then walked down to the ring, stating that they're going to come after him. The lights would go out, and when they came back on, Darby Allin was in the ring. I think this was a little bit of, what would you call it, slight editing, because, Darby was literally almost at the top of the stands, not even 45 seconds before this, maybe 60 seconds. But I doubt he was able to run from all the way up there all the way down. So nice editing, I guess. Anyways, Taz would then go, oh, I see what's up here. Okay, Sting, baseball bat. Darby, skateboard. We'll back off. We'll be the bigger men. But, Darby, 2 weeks. You're going to be defending that TNT title against my boy Cage. We'll wait. Until then. And Cage goes, what if I don't want to wait? What if I want to tear his head off right now? What if I want to fight? And Taz is like, calm down, big guy. And they walked off. Sting and Darby Allin were left in the ring. They stared at each other, and the segment ended. Another bullshit Sting thing. Like, why is Sting in AEW? He keeps teasing that he's going to tell us, and then they don't tell us. This is like when Sting first came to TNA. They always dragged out the Sting segments, and Sting never said anything. It was always like, hey, Sting did his little pose with the baseball bat and all that, and he's like, oh, I'm here in TNA. I want to address Jeff Jarrett. And then someone would interrupt him, and he never said what he wanted to say. And they're doing the same fucking shit here in AEW. Sting tries to talk, gets interrupted, and then next week they go, we'll find out what Sting's business in AEW is, and we still fucking don't. So in a very, very weird segment. Did I say very enough? A very weird segment. MJF was backstage with the cameraman, and he goes, I don't want the camera here just to get the accolades of, look what I did, but I want to show that I can also be a nice guy at times as well. And he walks in to a room. The Santana and Ortiz are like, oh, game over. They're playing cards. And he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't have to stop your game because of me. He looks at Santana and goes, I heard what happened. You lost a family member. I lost my grandfather recently. Stan Hart, or something like that. So I know what you're going through. I know how this is. I can relate. And MJF started to kind of get down on himself, and Santana stood up, and he goes, hey, keep your head up. We'll all get through this. It'll be okay. And they shook hands. Ortiz, though, still looked a little skeptical of MJF. And then I don't know how to take the end of this, because Santana and Ortiz leave, and MJF is just looking straight. The camera's in his face. He's looking straight past the camera, and I don't know if he wiped a tear, or if he was kind of like, I got him. I don't know, because he's looking down kind of sad, and then he looked up, and he kind of wiped his, kind of like that or whatever, and then he had this I don't know if I would call it a smirk, or kind of like a, okay, I will keep my spirits up kind of thing. But that was just super weird and way out of character for MJF. I didn't know how to really take that segment, to be completely honest. Next up, we had Jurassic Express in a 6-man tag team match, taking on 3 members of the Dark Order, Colt Cabana, 5 and 10. 5 is Alan Angles, 10 is Preston Vance. So Jurassic Express, they stated, are the number 3 ranked tag team in AEW. Cabana taunted Marco Stunt's size, but was taken down quickly. Angels and Jungle Boy tagged in, where a jackknife pin was used, but only got a 2 off of. Standing dropkick got another 2 before Stunt tagged back in. Jungle Boy ripcorded Stunt into a splash, but Stunt was forced into the corner where Cabana peppered him with some chops. At one point, I believe JR said, I like Jungle Jack Perry better than, or I think he said something along the lines of, I like Jungle Jack Perry. And I could have heard this wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat or the comments below. But I swear I heard JR say something along the lines of, I like Jungle Jack Perry better than Jungle Boy. And I was like, wait, what? Okay. Well, at one point, excuse me, Stunt tagged in Luchasaurus, who faced off with Preston Vance, 10, and downed him with a chop and a slam. Luchasaurus used Stunt as a weapon before Jungle Boy hit an assisted senton for a 2. Dark Order would finally get control back, and Jungle Boy, as they were beating down Jungle Boy throughout the commercial. After the break, Jungle Boy was downed with a dropkick follow-away slam combination. His signature rebound lariat almost bought Jungle Boy enough time to tag in Luchasaurus, but Alan Angles stopped him. A suplex escape was enough to reach Luchasaurus, though, who flatlined Angles with the wheelbarrow German. He shrugged off some strikes from Vance and downed him with a tail whip before a standing moonsault on Vance got 2. Marco Stunt tagged back in and landed a diving crossbody on Cabana. He went for a tope, but was met with a right hand from Vance. Dark Order dispatched Luchasaurus and hit him with a combination, followed by Angle's frog splash for a close near fall. Jungle Boy tagged in and kicked Cabana and Vance off the apron before Luchasaurus tossed Stunt onto the pile. He then hit an assisted powerbomb on Angles, followed by the Jurassic Express to get the victory. So, Jurassic Express picks up the victory. So, after the match, Tony Schiavone comes down to interview them. But before Marco can say anything, well, he says a couple words. I don't remember exactly what, but before he really says much, Tully and FTR appear on the screen, and Tully calls them Jurassic Park. And I just lost my shit. I thought that was, I don't know if he did it on purpose or did it by accident, but it popped me. Billy called FTR the 2020 Tag Team of the Year. He understands that Jurassic Express wants to take FTR down and move up in the rankings, and so the Jurassic Express have 2 weeks to prepare. Because on January 6th, 2 will clash. Well, the 4 technically will clash. Tully said that they've worked too hard to have a dinosaur take them down. And he also told Marco, don't get involved. So next up, we had Alex Marvez on location, I guess you can say. We met up with Kenny Omega and Don Callis at their hotel. And I love how Don goes, you know, we're here on our downtime, on our time, at the hotel, and you're following the world's champion? A little creepy. Maybe we should call the police. He said he doesn't understand how Khan lets the wrestlers run amok in AEW. His reference was Pac coming out and basically making the title match for Phoenix next week. Omega had a message for Phoenix, though. He said Phoenix choked in the AEW tag title tournament, or in the AEW tag title match. Choked in the AAA championship match, and against his own brother in the title eliminator. He said, if your own brother, who takes pity on you, was able to hurt you, just think what I'm going to do. I am going to put you out for good, out of AEW. And he goes, maybe you can go back to Impact Wrestling. Don, you got some pull there. Would you take him? And Don goes, oh, Impact would love to have him, but he is a little injury prone, so I don't know if we would really take him or not. Omega said that Phoenix gets hurt too much, and that's why he takes all the titles. This was a really good segment. Both Omega and Callis were really good, coming off as big deal heels, you might want to call them. Going forward, we had Pac versus The Butcher with Eddie Kingston on commentary. I think this is one of The Butcher's best singles matches I've ever seen. That's saying something because he's in there with Pac. It's also saying something because he had a match with Moxley, and I thought this match was better. So they butted heads right away as Pac used his quickness to lay in some kicks. Butcher sent Pac to the outside, but Pac, I'm going to say it either way, it don't matter. Made his way back into the ring before Butcher could capitalize. Pac laid in more kicks inside the ring, but Butcher leveled him with a running crossbody. Butcher maintained control with hard strikes and throws. Penta distracted him, allowing Pac to fight back. Butcher beat him down with some stomps. Then they went to the outside, where Pac sent Butcher into the barricade, but Butcher fired out with a big boot as the show went to commercial. After the commercial break, Pac chopped down Butcher with kicks and followed up with a missile drop kick. Pac went back to the top, but Blade pushed Penta into the post, distracting Pac, and just long enough that allowed Butcher to level him with a lariat. A falling powerbomb from the Butcher followed up with a 2. Kingston then tried to relay instructions from commentary, which is kind of funny, but Butcher was taking too long. So Kingston dropped his headset. Archer would then run down, cause some interference on Kingston, and Pac dropped Butcher with a roundhouse kick. He would then hit the Black Arrow and pick up the victory. Jade Cargill, he had a message for Brandy Rhodes. And how the fuck is this still going on? Brandy can't do shit. They were supposed to have a match between Jade and Brandy. And Brandy went and got herself knocked up and screwed all that up. But Jade congratulated Brandy on her pregnancy, but called it convenient now that Cargill has showed up. All of Brandy's responsibilities will be taken care of in her absence. She had called out Brandy, but with her gone, Cargill demanded a replacement to fight until Brandy comes back. And my first fucking thought was, what do we get? Red Velvet versus Jade? What is that going to suffice? No one wants to see Red Velvet versus Jade. I don't know how many people want to see Jade versus Brandy, though. But Red Velvet versus Jade, that's even worse. Because they were building this Brandy thing up. She threw the water in Shaq's face. And now you're just going to get another girl just to randomly replace? They better build this right. And be like, you know, this is why Red Velvet's going to replace. Or why Serena Deeb is going to be the replacement. Not just, I don't know. But I mean, I know they don't want to just drop it. They want to do something with Jade. But it's just like, really? Because what I had heard is the original plan was Jade versus Brandy, Cody in Brandy's corner, Shaq in Jade's corner. So what are they going to do now? Brandy and Cody in Red Velvet's corner? I mean, if you don't do this match quick enough, Brandy ain't going to be able to be out there. Because if she's out there pregnant and accidentally gets bumped, that ain't good. That ain't good at all. So I don't know what this is going to lead to, but Jade said she needs a replacement and somebody to fight until Brandy's ready to come back, which is going to be at least 10 months, if not longer. Because like we've been saying with Becky Lynch, once you have that baby, you can get the whole, oh, I never want to leave my kid again. Or, I'm not ready to leave yet. Yeah, I'm cleared and I can wrestle. I don't want to go. I don't want to leave. I want to stay with my baby. And that's something that we could see with Becky, and that's something we can see with Brandy. You just never know. Because you can, and I'm not a mother, but I'm a father, so I kind of get it. You can have that mentality of, all right, I'm going to have the kid. As soon as I can, I'm going to start training, and I'm going to get back into the ring as quick as possible. But you can honestly have the baby and then go, I never want to leave this little guy or little girl again. I want to be with them 24/7 as much as I can. Yeah, I can come back now. Maybe I wait 5-6 more months till they're a little bit older and I get all that sweet, sweet baby time. You never know. You never know how they're going to feel once they have the kid, once they have the baby, and it's been a couple of weeks since the birth. So we'll see when Brandy comes back. We don't know when that's going to be because it's very unpredictable. Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford made their wedding announcement with Tony Schiavone and Miro. Miro was there really to make the announcement himself. Miro told Schiavone, smile more. You need to smile more. And that wind in Daly's place was doing Tony's hair no favors tonight. His hair was all over the place. Anyways, Sabian said that their wedding isn't just a massive deal for AEW, it's a big deal for everyone at home as well, because the viewers can't wait to see their wedding. He called it the best moment in our small, insignificant lives. They were about to announce the wedding date, but then the Best Friends music would hit. A video would then interrupt that. And, well, it was all a joke because we saw Trent being loaded into an ambulance as Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy got in there with him, basically implying that Miro and Kip beat the shit out of him. They then announced the wedding for February 3rd, the beach-themed wedding, and that episode will be a special episode of Dynamite AEW Beach Break. February 3rd, that's the wedding. I mean, Best Friends and Orange Cassidy have to interrupt and screw the wedding, right? I mean, when's the last time we saw a wrestling wedding where it didn't get screwed up? Fucking, I don't even know. Macho and Elizabeth, or was that wedding even screwed up? I don't remember. I wasn't watching wrestling then because I don't even think I was born then. And I've only gone back and seen it like once a long time ago. I don't remember much of the Macho Elizabeth wedding. But every other wrestling wedding I've ever seen, somebody interrupted and tried to screw it up. I mean, Billy and Chuck, 3-Minute Warning, and Eric Bischoff. I mean, Edge and Lita. Kane, Matt Hardy, and Trish Stratus. Just to name a few. Next up, we had Dustin Rhodes, that is, with Lee Johnson against Evil Uno with Stu Grayson. Uno surprised Dustin early on with a slap before the bell even rang. Dustin fired back with clotheslines and then beat Uno down in the corner. He followed this up with a drop-down right hand, but Uno had the power slam scouted and sent Dustin to the outside after a stomp. They brawled on the floor, trading strikes the whole way. Dustin avoided Uno chop, and then Uno hit the ring post. Back in the ring, Dustin targeted Uno's injured right hand that he had hit into the ring post, and he stomped it. Uno avoided a corner clothesline and downed Dustin with a boot. He followed up with a senton bomb for a 2. After a commercial break, Uno was in control and hit a straight pile driver for a close near fall. Dustin fired back with a flip-flop and fly, and complete with a middle finger. He downed Uno with a boot, but Uno came back with a thrust kick, that is. Dustin would then win out of nowhere with a running bulldog, the same move that he used to take out 10 last week. So, Dustin wins. After the match, Uno re-upped his offer for Dustin to join the Dark Order. Dustin was about to shake his hand, but then he kicked Uno instead. So Stu Grayson ran into for the attack from behind. Lee Johnson tried to make the save, but Grayson dispatched him early. QT Marshall would then run out and make the save for his make the save of his own, but was sent packing by the Dark Order. However, the distraction was just enough to allow Johnson to land a double drop kick on both of the members of the Dark Order. Cool. I don't know exactly where this is going to lead to. Is this just their version of Ricochet and Retribution? Seems like it. Also got to give props to Dustin. His wrestling school out there in Texas really coming together. He's been posting pictures and videos of his school. They've got a big old little warehouse-looking area. They've got 2 rings set up. And I guess he's going to have a male ring and a female ring because on one, so they got like a front ring. And on the wall next to it, there's posters of Dusty, Ric Flair, The Rock, and who's the other one? Hold on. It's Dusty, The Rock, Ric Flair, and Bret Hart. Then on the women's side of things, he's got posters of, hold on, let me make this bigger. Sherry Martel, Medusa, Fabulous Moolah, and Miss Elizabeth. He's also got big old banners with the NWA logo, the WCW logo, the New Japan logo. I don't think one of these pictures, hold on. Yeah, he doesn't have a big WWE logo, though, which is very weird. But cool for Dustin. His school looks like it's really coming along. One of the pictures he posted, it looked like Ricky Starks was there helping set stuff up when they were putting the rings together. So, hey, more power to him. Rhodes Wrestling Academy coming together in Texas. You can follow them. It's in a sponsor plug or anything, but you can follow them at Academy Rhodes. So it looks like both Dustin and Cody have their own school. I mean, Cody basically bought into QT Marshall's school and now calls it the Nightmare Factory. And then Dustin's starting his own thing out there in Texas, which ever since he left WWE, that was one of the first things he said he wanted to do was start his own wrestling school. He said that he had talked to Tony Khan about it and wanted to make it like the training facility for AEW. But it looks like Cody's deal with QT is what's going to be that. But hey, we'll see what happens when Dustin finally opens this thing up for classes and whatnot, and how we'll see how he runs it. So more power to him. Going forward, we had an interview by Sean Spears, again, with Tony Schiavone. Spears asked why Schiavone left the industry. And Schiavone said, well, he was burnt out. And Spears said, yeah, and you're the perfect guy for this interview then. Spears said he bet on himself when he left in New York. He never needed the metal slug gimmick because, well, he works better, looks better, and talks better than the rest of the guys on the AEW roster. But no matter where he is in wrestling, always going to be a glass ceiling. That's because Cody, that EVP Cody, and the rest of AEW won't let him grow. Giovanni would interrupt. He asked whether their problem was AEW or Spears himself. Spears called himself a piece of shit and said that he could work anywhere in the world, so he's not coming back till he feels like it. I guess this is kind of a newsworthy interview. While Spears was good in the segment, I didn't like his little wink wink at the end kind of deal. I don't know. I really don't know what this is. It's just we're giving Spears some time off, and so we had to write him off TV, even though he's barely ever on TV anyways. I don't know. I didn't really get this segment at all. Hikaru Shida was interviewed ahead of her match with Alex Garcia. No, Alex Gracia, or as freaking Dasha called her, Alex Gracia. Gotta say Gracia. Shida was then attacked by Abaddon, who appeared and attacked before the officials sent her packing. Shida's music hit, and she marched down to the ring and beat the shit out of Alex Gracia. Just beat the crap out of her. Not much to say about the match other than Shida won because, like I said, she just destroyed Gracia. Gracia fell victim to a boot at one point and a delayed vertical suplex, followed by a draping knee strike. Abaddon appeared at ringside, so Shida kicked the barricade into her and pulled her into the ring area. Shida stomped her down at ringside and sent her into the barricade before she barely made it to the ring. Made it by 9, because almost got counted out. Gracia applied a cradle for a 2. Shida hit a backbreaker and a Falcon Arrow to pick up the victory. After the match, Shida confronted an unconscious Abaddon and poked her with a kendo stick. Abaddon then popped up and attacked with forearm shots. She then bit Shida's neck like a vampire, like she was Shayna Baszler. She had fake blood in her mouth, and the blood was all over the neck of one Hikaru Shida. And my first thought was, I've seen this already. Not just I've seen this before in wrestling. I saw this fucking 10, 11 months ago. Fucking Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch did this on Raw right before WrestleMania. And I tweeted that out. I'm like, I've already seen this. Shayna Baszler bit Becky like a vampire. And people go, oh, but that fits the Abaddon character. Abaddon's creepy like that. We would expect something like that from Abaddon. But bull fucking who? Everybody shit on it when WWE did it with Shayna. But everybody thinks it's okay that AEW did it with Abaddon because it fits her character better. No, you guys are just AEW marks, and you're going to say that anything that AEW does that WWE's already done is better. Fuck off. Like I said Monday about some shit with the Charlotte stuff. Piss off, mate. You know my new thing. We're going to fucking piss off. It just pisses me off when WWE does something and people shit all over it. Granted, I shit all over it myself. I shit all over it as well. But then AEW do the exact same thing. And everyone goes, oh my God, that was so good. Oh, that fits so well. Oh, this, blah, 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 blah. No. Fuck. If you didn't like it the first time WWE did it, what makes it that much better with the AEW doing it? It doesn't. Yeah, Abaddon's supposed to be a creepy, scary figure. But she ain't a fucking vampire. Plus, they shot it wrong because you could see the blood all in Abaddon's mouth ready to just all over fucking Shida, which, hey, I know they've all tested negative for COVID, but fuck's sakes, you don't know. Fucking Abaddon's got to bite this blood capsule in her mouth and then drool all over Shida's neck. This was not the fucking time to do that. At all. At all. Like, I never want to see someone drool on another wrestler's neck, but especially now. And I know people are going to say, but they were tested for COVID. They don't have COVID. We don't need to worry about that. Oh, yeah. And you know who else was tested for COVID but still had it? Fucking Renee Paquette. WWE tested her. She was negative. 4 days later, she went home, wasn't feeling good. Fucking got a test in Vegas. Positive. Just saying. Not saying Abaddon has it or anything, but you got to be a little more cautious with the times. And having somebody drool all over somebody to make it look like they got bit open, not smart at all. This is stupid. So they announced that next week, we got 2 title matches. Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix for the AEW World title, and Hikaru Shida versus Abaddon for the AEW Women's Championship. Jake Hager will take on Wardlow, and Jon Moxley will return. In 2 weeks, Darby Allin will defend the TNT title against Brian Cage, and in a match sponsored by the Go Big Show, Cody will take on Matt Sydal, and they called them 2 veterans of the industry facing off. Then we move on to our main event. Acclaimed came out first. Caster was rapping the whole time. Whatever. I'm not a rap fan. I don't know. I thought it was funny when Cena did it back in the day, but these guys are trying to take themselves more serious as rappers. John Cena was always cracking jokes, but these guys are trying to be more serious, I guess you could say, in their raps, so I don't know. But it was the Acclaimed challenging the Young Bucks for the tag titles, and as we've learned, yes, the rankings kind of matter, but you would think that to get the title shot, you need to be the #1 ranked contender. But apparently in AEW, all you gotta be is in the top 5. So that's something we've learned because the Acclaimed are ranked 5th. And then Caster comes out and he's doing his rap and he says, we've won 8 in a row. And then in the middle of this match, Jim Ross just goes, these guys are on a 7-match winning streak. And I go, Caster said 8. Oh, and Excalibur said 8 before the match too. JR, what is it? 8 or 7, bud? So, I thought the match was all right. For me, a little bit too much spot fest. I thought it was too much move, move, move. Big move, big move, big move. But Matt Jackson and Max Caster started off the match. Jackson got the better of their initial exchange. Bowens then tagged in, but the Bucks easily downed him and suplexed Caster onto his partner. Nick then landed their signature assisted double drop kick, followed by a pair of baseball slides to the outside. Matt speared Caster on the floor, and the Bucks followed up with the splash moonsault combination. Back in the ring, Nick landed an assisted diving double foot stomp, onto Bowens. Caster tripped Matt, allowing the Acclaim to take control. They had a combination thrust kick for 2. Nick got the blind tag into a springboard crossbody on Bowens. Nick at one point nearly reached Matt trying to go for that hot tag, but Bowens pulled Matt off the apron, and the Acclaimed cut Nick off. Nick dodged a clothesline, and Matt tagged in, landing strikes on both opponents before catching them both with a DDT. Matt baited Caster to the floor, where he was met with a soccer kick from Nick. Matt had a sequence of Northern Lights suplexes and stepped through into a sharpshooter. And I like a commentary, I forget who it was, but they're like, oh, the sharpshooter or the scorpion deathlock or whatever you really want to call it, it can be an effective move. That was funny. Caster tried to break the submission by slapping Matt Jackson, and Matt just looked at him and goes, is that all you got? Give it to me harder. Nick then pulled Caster to the floor as they each applied sharpshooters before Bowens reached the ropes to make the break. Tried for the Doomsday device, which got a 2. Caster crotched Nick on the top turnbuckle and followed up with two suplexes, one assisted, before Matt broke up the pin. Nick reached Matt for his second hot tag. Matt and Caster exchanged strikes until Caster raked Matt's eyes. There was a parade of super kicks here and strikes until Caster avoided one more, and Nick inadvertently hit the referee Rick Knox with a super kick. They hit a low blow and a boombox shot on Matt as Paul Turner ran down to make the count, but Nick kicked out at 2. The Acclaim then set up for the Indie Taker, and a super kick allowed Matt to powerbomb Bowens through the timekeeper's table. With Caster isolated, the Bucks hit the BTE trigger to pick up the victory and remain the tag team champions. The Bucks then posed as the show went off the air. So again, a good show. Wouldn't call it a great show. More of a, hey, we had to get this show and just get it over with and get it through and get it done. They were effective in announcing a lot of things for the next 2 weeks. I'll give them that. But as far as the show tonight, they knew they were at a disadvantage with the show airing 2 hours later than normal. And they got lucky. Because that fucking basketball game almost went into overtime. It literally was half a second from going into overtime. And the fucking Bucks lost by 1 point because they missed one of 2 freaking free throws. If that second free throw would have went in, that game would have went to overtime. Because it was 120 to 122 Celtics. I forget who it was going for that final free throw, but he got the first free throw. Then he went for the second free throw, missed it. Clock winds down at like 0.4 seconds, so it was like half a second, almost half a second. Clock winds down, boom. Fucking Celtics win by 1 point. And if he would have made that second free throw, that game would have went to overtime. But, hey, them AEW fans said, please let this basketball game end so we can watch our Dynamite. And it did. But with that, that was AEW Dynamite. Now, talk about some NXT. Let's put the new poll up here in the live chat on Twitch to see what you guys thought of tonight's show. New poll. What did you think of tonight's NXT? Liked it? It Was all right. I didn't. Take it. Also, as far as your poll goes for AEW, 100% said you liked it. Cool. That poll going there. And let's talk some NXT. NXT started off with the tag team title match. It was Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch against Killian Dane and Drake Maverick in a street fight. Same style street fight we saw on Raw, where you had to tag in and out to actually be the legal man. Give me 1 second to check something, guys. Okay, never mind. I thought the live stream on YouTube froze there for a second, but it didn't. We're all good. So, Maverick and Dane jumped the champs before the bell even rang as they were making their entrance. They brawled on the floor, only for Lorcan and Burch to quickly turn the tides. Chairs were used early. The wild brawl gave way to the teams standing on the apron, making tags. So it starts off with them brawling on the floor, and then they go, oh, well, this is a tag team match, so we got to do tag team rules. Again, like I said on Monday, tagging in and out just doesn't make any sense if it's a street fight. Just saying. Where was I? When the fighting at one point did spill back to the outside, they all brawled together. Tags just seemed to not matter again. Then it turned into basically Texas Tornado rules. Regardless, they were beating the heck out of each other. Dane crashed through a table at one point as the show cut to its first commercial. They used weapons and continued after the break. Dane was down selling, and Maverick was all alone. He was whipped with his own belt. And I think it was Danny Burch who was whipping him and kept saying, oh, please, may I have another? Please, may I have another? Like he was just whipping the crap out of him. Finally, hot tags were a little rare in this street fight, but we got one at one point from Killian Dane, who cleaned house on Lorcan and Burch. 2 tables were set up side by side at ringside. Dane took a nasty plunge off the apron and bounced off the tables on the floor. Excuse me. The announcers on commentary said that NXT tables are reinforced. Maverick made a comeback and dished out some receipts with his leather belt. He lashed Lorcan and Burch, and Maverick was fired up. Lorcan then hit a low blow on Maverick to cut him off. Burch hit him with a cricket bat. Then they spiked him with a DDT, and Lorcan pinned Maverick to pick up the victory. I thought Drake Maverick looked a lot better than I expected he was going to look in this match. Like, they gave him more offense than I thought. So, kudos. We got the first act of a very Gargano Christmas. These 4 are now calling themselves, well, actually, they announced it like a week or 2 ago that they're called The Way. And they were at the Gargano house celebrating the holidays. Johnny was playing the piano as the others decorated. He said, forget Elf on a shelf. You've got Johnny on a piano. Candace and the rest of the Way approached Johnny. They were ready to open presents. Cut the camcorder footage. I liked this a lot. I thought this was very clever. That Johnny's like, wait, I got to get the camera out. We got to document this. And he's got like a freaking Sony Handycam. So, where was I? Theory opened his present first. It was the Gargano Whey protein powder. He was very excited about that. And then, well, Act 1 was over. Up next is a special feature, a little mini documentary. Kyle O'Reilly and the NXT champion Finn Balor reacting to watching their match from Takeover in October. In 2 weeks, the two will headline New Year's Evil with the championship on the line. I really liked this, and I thought it had like a UFC countdown episode feel to it. Malcolm Bivens was backstage with Tyler Rust. Bivens cut a promo, hyping him up, and I like this. I like Malcolm Bivens finally having somebody that he can really sink his teeth into as far as managing. So next up, we had Isaiah Swerve Scott against Jake Atlas. This is a rematch from last week where Scott lost, and then he refused to shake Atlas's hand. Scott seemingly continued to develop into a heel throughout this match. He wrestled a Rudo style, as some may say. Atlas fought back at one point as the match went through a commercial break. Atlas was in control, but Scott soon cut him off. Scott's tactics only became more and more heelish as the match rolled on. A springboard off the top rope let Atlas go for an avalanche poison rana. Scott landed on his feet, though, which was very impressive. They fought until Scott rocked Atlas with a headbutt, a draping Michinoku driver by Scott, and then he just covered Jake Atlas to pick up the victory. So these guys are 1-1. Scott, again working as a heel, gloated as he celebrated after the match. Now he wanted the handshake. Atlas this time was the one to refuse. So in the back, you got Adam Cole, Roderick Strong. They're being interviewed about the Kyle O'Reilly match in a couple of weeks when they're interrupted by the Velveteen Dream. I want to say thank you to Zach Corner for the super chat donation. Really do appreciate that. We'll get to your question here shortly. Dream said that Cole is no longer the leader of the Undisputed Era. O'Reilly is now their leader. He continued by trying to drive a wedge between the Undisputed Era. Suddenly, Cole slapped Dream in the face. Cole basically said there is no real leader of the Undisputed Era. We're all equals. And he challenged Dream to a match. He said, and then he would call Dream a freaking moron. Timothy Thatcher cut a promo on Tommaso Champa. He told Champa that he was going to take liberties with Leon Ruff later on tonight. Thatcher dared Champa to come down and stop him. Thatcher went on to say he wants to fight Champa. Next up, we had Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai with Raquel Gonzalez banned from ringside. Ripley was ragdolling Kai early on. She tossed her all around the ring, including with an airplane spin. The fight then spilled to the outside, where Kai gave Ripley a shoulder breaker onto the apron. Kai then posted her shoulder first. Ripley went down selling as the show cut to a picture-in-picture commercial break. Kai was working the shoulder when the show came back from the break. Ripley powered out with a deadlift powerbomb and started a comeback. Ripley fired up on Kai and delivered a few drop kicks, a gut-wrench facebuster, and that netted Ripley a 2 count. They traded strikes, and Kai caught Ripley with a kick, but Kai missed and followed up with a running kick. Ripley planted her with a sit-out facebuster and an electric chair drop. Kai, though, managed to kick out. Kai then cut off Ripley, and she delivered a face wash. Ripley, with a counter, was able to catch Kai in an inverted scorpion leg lock. Ripley then had the lock on when Gonzalez would make her way out. Now, she didn't break any rules here. She was banned from ringside, but never left the top of the ramp. So, didn't get Dakota, disqualified or anything for breaking that rule. Ripley shouted at Gonzalez as Ripley cranked on the submission hold. With Ripley distracted with Gonzalez, Kai was able to get to the ropes and break the hold. Kai with her signature lung blower. Kai started hitting Ripley with... Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta ban somebody here in the Twitch chat. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. Guy with her signature lung blower. He hit Ripley with the Kawada kicks. Ripley blocked a ladder kick, and she went for the Riptide. Kai countered into a guillotine. Ripley powered out. Ripley then with a pump handle executed her finisher and covered Kai for the pinfall. Afterwards, she would then dare Raquel Gonzalez to come down to the ring. You're basically like, the floor is yours. Let's go. Gonzalez would come down to the ring and the two would brawl. Referees, officials, and agents would all have to run in to break up the two. I thought that was a nice little brawl. And it builds towards, well, what we're getting. Fast forward, New Year's Evil, Raquel Gonzalez, Rhea Ripley, last woman standing. We then had Act 2 of A Very Gargano Christmas. This time around, it was Indy Hartwell's turn to open her present. Her gift was a PS5, so we thought. Inside, well, was nothing. It was an empty box. And Johnny said, whoa, that's just a box because the PS5 is mine. Plus, we've got you a better gift. Johnny said, I'm Johnny Wrestling. But from now on, we're going to call you Indie Wrestling. Because we support indie wrestling. Cartwheel exclaimed that was better. That name was better than getting a PlayStation 5. And I was like, okay, whatever. Corny little joke here. Candace is like, we support you. We support indie wrestling. And Austin Theory was in tears, crying because of this. I couldn't help but laugh, and I'm laughing again. Then Tony Storm, who was in the back wearing a fucking like cheetah jacket or whatever you want to call it. She was wearing fur. She looked like a star. Like, she looked like a superstar and cut a... I'm going to say it right now. Tony Storm is the best fucking female WWE has on the microphone. I'm going to say it right now. I'm just going to say it. Like, her and Bayley are the two best on the mic females in WWE. They're no better. Tony Storm is amazing on the mic. She cuts great promos. They seem believable. They don't seem like just scripted bullshit. And she did it again tonight. She said that, you know, what's next for Tony Storm? Well, I'm going after Io Shirai in the NXT Women's Championship. Io said that the only problem she has, well, is that championship. Well, now she's got a second problem in me. Because she knows she can't beat me. She goes, remember when I won the Mae Young Classic? Who did I beat? Io Shirai. Xylee and Boa are still training. Now they're beating the shit out of each other. Bronson Reed had a quick match. He defeated Ashanti the Adonis. Reed ran him over in a squash match. Reed with a flying splash and pinned him in a very short match. Then, in something that I thought was going to be amazing, but was only pretty dang good. So, Io Shirai was in the back, and I forget who it was. It may have been Mackenzie. Tried to get an interview with her, and she was just like, I can't talk. Hit my music. And she walks down. She marches down to the ring, asks for a chair, asks for a mic, slams the chair down, sits down and goes, Tony Storm, get out here right now. And I go, oh boy, we're about to have ourselves a fight, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you want to see in wrestling. Fucking somebody calls out the babyface, says that you can't beat me. Well, then the babyface is going to come out and say, you want to prove it? Let's fucking prove it. But then we didn't get to prove it because Mercedes Martinez would come in from behind and beat down the champ. He would choke her out, ram Shirai into the barricade, and pummeled her around ringside. I tried to fight back, but Mercedes threw her through the bottom of the announce desk. Into the bottom of the announce desk, or the side, whatever you want to call it. But this had all the makings of a fucking great little, probably beat down brawl with Tony and Io, and then they ruined it. Well, I wouldn't say ruined it, but they made it not as good with Mercedes Martinez. Because it's like, we're building up Io and Tony. What is Mercedes for what? Because I loved the way Io came out and was just like, I'm going to sit here. Tony Storm, get your ass out here. Let's do this. And then what? So is Mercedes going to get the next shot? Or is it going to be Tony? I don't know. We go to Act 3 of A Very Gargano Christmas. I believe this is the final act. Gargano said he had a present for his dear, dear wife. Candace opened her gift, and it was a mangled wheel. One of the wheels of Shotzi's tank that she had ran over. The race seemed to think that it was a thoughtful gift, and she said she adored it. Johnny said there's one last way that we can end all of this. We have to take our Christmas card photo. And together they said, Merry Christmas. This is the postcard. Ended the segment. This is all right. I thought this was all tongue-in-cheek. I mean, it's what we've been getting for months with Johnny and Candace. Their little goofy, wacky, funny stuff. And they're great at it. And now you add Indy Hartwell and Austin Theory. You're seemingly using two great professional wrestlers to teach these two young professional wrestlers how to do and be more than just in the ring. And this is something that other wrestling promotions and even WWE's main roster needs to take note of. When you use two established veterans to teach the younger generation, the younger class in the business, in the brand. And I love it. Because with Gargano and LeRae, and then you have Indy and Austin Theory, it's like they're going to learn so much from working with Johnny and Candice that they weren't going to learn if they were just out there having matches and cutting random ass promos. So I think this is phenomenal what they can do with these two, or four to be honest. So next up, we had Leon Ruff versus Timothy Thatcher. Basically, it was just a fucking squash. So we thought. Thatcher manhandled Ruff throughout the entire match. Ruff at one point fought back, but Thatcher only punished him more. Thatcher went to get a chair, and Ruff caught him, slipping with it, and slipped with the inside cradle, got a 2 off it. Ruff then made another comeback, and Thatcher cut him down with the mid-air uppercut. Thatcher continued to torture on Leon Ruff. He stomped on him and suplexed him. Thatcher was toying with Ruff when Ruff countered him. Ruff then caught him in a small package and scored the pinfall victory out of nowhere. After the match, Thatcher would attack Ruff. Champa would run down to make the save. Champa drilled Thatcher with a draping DDT. Champa then said that he would see Thatcher in the fight pit. And Champa kissed Thatcher on the forehead. And I go, oh yeah, fight pit. Here we go. Fight pit coming back, and it's Champa Thatcher. Oh boy, howdy. Now, I assume this happens in New Year's Evil. They didn't give a date for it, so we'll have to see. Damian Priest cut a promo on Karrion Kross. Didn't really say much. Next up, we had Tyler Rust versus Aria Devari, and this was such a showcase for Rust. They put over how last week's performance by Rust was a star-making performance. Even Triple H felt that way. So Devari was talking trash when Rust caught him in a triangle choke. Rust hit Devari with a series of kicks. Rust with a headlock, neckbreaker, and then applied a unique submission hold as Malcolm Bivens kept going over to commentary. You see my guy over here? That guy, he's a star. He's going to be somebody. I loved it. I loved Malcolm Bivens, how he would be at ringside hyping up Rust, but then he'd run back over to commentary. Look at him. Put him over. You know this guy is something. I loved it. I loved it. Malcolm Bivens is a perfect manager. Eventually, he put him in like a modified Rings of Saturn, and Devari tapped out. After he had been kicking the, I want to say, left arm and elbow of Devari throughout this entire match. So in the back, Leon Ruff was coming out of William Regal's office when Mackenzie said, hey, so you picked up a victory tonight. What's next for you? And he goes, what's next? Well, next week I'm getting my rematch for the North American title against Johnny Gargano. Hopefully I can win the title back. So, next week, NXT North American title on the line. Johnny Gargano defending against Leon Ruff. No Damian Priest involved this time, so see how that goes. A vignette featuring Karrion Kross cutting a promo on Damian Priest. Charlotte was in it as well. Basically, this was just setting up their match at New Year's Evil. Interesting. Someone playing some. I don't know if you guys heard that, but someone's blaring some loud music outside my apartment, and it totally distracted the shit out of me. At first, I didn't know where it was coming from. Anyways, they announced that voting is now open for the NXT Year-End Awards that will be announced next week. We then go to our main event. It was Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream. Undisputed Era is perfect. I'm just going to say it right now. All of them. Like, they're coming out. It's Adam Cole with Roderick Strong. No Kyle O'Reilly, no Bobby Fish. And they go, making his way to the ring with Roderick Strong. And Roddy's just going, yep, that's me. That's me. I'm Roderick Strong. I'm like, these guys are just, if these guys could be used any better, then it would be like, holy crap. And if these guys were on the main roster and used properly, they'd be the biggest thing in wrestling right now. Undisputed Era could be the best thing in all professional wrestling if they were just moved up to the main roster of WWE and pushed as such. Like, I don't know how do I word this? It's not often that Undisputed Era does something wrong or not good or not right. They're always on their game and near perfect or near perfection. Early on, Adam Cole was in control, but Dream cut him off. Cole made a comeback with a neck breaker to regain the advantage. Cole with a pump kick knocked Dream off the apron. They collided and bonked heads at one point. Both were down selling as Pete Dunne would run in and attack Roderick Strong from behind a ringside. Dunne gave him a bitter end right onto the apron. Dream with the heat on Cole as the show cut to its final commercial break. A rally by Cole as the show returned from the break. Dream missed a flying elbow or a purple rainmaker, and he crashed and burned. They traded strikes, and Dream bumped and fed for Adam Cole. A Ushigoroshi led to a near fall for Cole. Another 2 count from Cole after a German suplex. Dream, though, fought back, only to get super kicked in the knee. Cole went for a figure 4, but Dream countered it. Cole went for a super kick in midair on Dream to counter a flying axe handle. Dream then crawled back into the ring as Cole waited on him. Dream ate another super kick, and Cole locked in a figure 4. Dream sold this big, like he was about to have his leg snapped in half, but he made it to the ropes for the break. The referee was almost a target here, but Cole stopped short and realized that what was happening. Dream cut off Cole. Dream delivered a DDT. Dream off the top rope with a flying elbow, got a near fall. They took turns taking super kicks in midair and off the middle rope. Cole got in a last one and then hit Dream with the last shot. Cole then covered Dream to pick up the victory. With that, it was also announced that next week, Pete Dunne will be facing Roderick Strong, which all stemmed from the attack tonight. Also, that was it. I don't know. I have something else here that's not even for NXT. I wrote something to remind me of something else. So with that was NXT. A very, like I said, good show. Not great. Kind of like we got a lame duck week here. We're building up to bigger stuff. We did get a number of things announced, so we'll go from there. But with that, I liked both shows. I didn't think either show was that great, but I thought they accomplished what they needed to not be a great show for tonight, but be a good show to build towards the next few weeks. But with that, we do have your text messages and whatnot to read. Also, as far as the poll does go, 75% liked NXT, 25% didn't. You have a super chat here from Zach Connor. He states, it would be super fitting if Cross versus Balor for the NXT title on Sunday, February 14th at TakeOver St. Valentine's Day Massacre. That would be, I never thought of that. Whew, that would be a good one. That would be a good one on February 14th on Valentine's Day to do St. Valentine's Day Massacre. That would be a good one. I didn't think about that one. All I can think about is February 14th, Daytona 500. That's what February 14th means to me right now. So, but let's load up your guys' text messages. Got a couple of them here. Person says, why are they waiting to do Finn versus Cross instead of now since they're both back? Well, because the reason it's not that they're waiting, it's that the Kyle O'Reilly Finn Balor match got over so well with the fans and was so highly regarded that they feel like on their next, big event on television, this may do the best rating possible. And I agree. I honestly do think that after the match we saw at TakeOver between Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor, people are clamoring to see that match again and I think that match would honestly on television do a better rating than Finn versus Cross. And then you save Finn versus Cross for the next TakeOver, whenever that is, maybe February 14th. Other person says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. Stay safe as always. Thank you, Johnny Elite. I do appreciate that. Person says, NXT was watchable. AEW was good today. A perfect middle-of-the-road type of show. Exactly. I thought both shows were a good middle-of-the-road type of show. Person says, could a triple threat between Mercedes, Tony, and the champion? I mean, maybe, but where does that make sense? Tony Storm's been saying she wants to challenge Io Shirai. unless we learn that Mercedes was brought in by Tony Storm, then this really doesn't make sense. This person says, do you think Brian Cage will beat Darby for the TNT title? Nah, too soon for Darby to lose it. I mean, what is this going to be, Darby's second defense? I don't think he loses it that soon. Person says, do you see any NXT superstars possibly joining the main roster next year or competing in the Royal Rumble? Well, Rhea Ripley's most likely going to be in the Royal Rumble. She's the only NXT star in the commercial. She's been tapped to come up to the main roster forever. She's been in the Rumble once or twice already. So, I mean, if anybody's going to come up, it's going to be Rhea Ripley. This person also says, is there any chance we possibly see some Impact Wrestling wrestlers invade AEW? It's going to happen. Tony Khan wouldn't have gone on Impact and say, the door's open this week or any week. Impact wrestlers, come to AEW. Like, he wouldn't have said that if it ain't going to happen. Now, remember, this week's show was a pre-tape show. Next week is live. Kenny's in the main event, defending his title against Phoenix. Super Elite? Maybe. This person says, do you think they bring Undisputed Era up after Kyle inevitably loses to Finn Balor? I don't know. I've heard 3 times over the last 18 months that Undisputed Era were supposed to come up, and they didn't. So, we'll see. But with that, guys, that's going to do it for tonight's AEW and NXT reviews. I want to say thank you for joining me here. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Remember to follow us on social media, Facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. Follow us on Instagram by searching for Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and follow us on Twitter at PW Unlimited. Also, check out our sponsor, Pro Wrestling Loot. Head over to ProWrestlingLoot.com and sign up by January 4th to get their January crate that will feature Victoria, 2 Cold Scorpio, and AAA Lucha Libre. In every Pro Wrestling Loot box, you will get an autographed pint-size All-Stars figure, a t-shirt, and many more exclusive items. So go check them out, ProWrestlingLoot.com, and use promo code PW Unlimited at checkout to get 20% off of your first crate or box, whatever you want to call it. But with that, guys, have a great night, and we'll most likely see you back here Friday for Friday Night SmackDown. Have a good one, guys.